Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban has a connectivity feature with the Gameboy Advance. Prisoner of Azkaban actually has two GBA linking features, one that doesn't require the GBA version and another that does. Let's start with the empty GBA version first. From the main menu, a couple of minigames can be downloaded to the GBA when connected with the link cable. It takes several seconds to load the program, so be a little patient. The first is Whizzer Cracker Poppet, which is basically a Bejeweled clone. But instead of replenishing destroyed pieces, remaining pieces clump together toward the side of the screen. The goal is to clear them in such a way that no pieces remain with the last pop to reach the next stage to earn a higher score. It's nothing special, but high scores of each of the three available difficulties get posted on the title screen, adding some replay value. The other downloadable minigame is Buck Beats Hippogriff Glide, which is a Mode 7-like racer where you need to fly through the circling monsters as fast as possible. It's a little strange because you have no control over your speed. The game just automatically propels the flying horse with the player controlling left and right movement with the D-pad while the A button is used to adjust height. Hold it down to fly higher, let it go to drop, and eventually you'll just run out of time no matter how well you fly. It's a good looking game though on a technical level, especially considering this is all stored in the GBA's RAM. It's also worth noting that these games are outfitted with music and sound effects too, something that often gets cut when it comes to empty GBA linking. So to be clear, these are the two downloadable minigames that do not require a GBA cartridge. However, these minigames are also playable on the GBA cartridge version of Prisoner of Azkaban, so they're not Gamecube exclusive. In fact, there's another minigame that isn't downloadable from the Cube version called Ridiculous Bogart Challenge, where you need to tap the D-pad in the direction of the incoming enemy. This is another short burst score-based game that gets faster and more difficult over time. It's fine, I guess, nothing special. Sorta cool that this reaction-based game only uses the D-pad, almost like DDR. Okay, so the other linking feature not only requires the GBA version, you have to play through the campaign until you're able to purchase an Owl Care Kit. Once this item is purchased, connect the GBA cartridge using the link cable and load a save file. Then access the menu and scroll down to Connectivity. Here you'll see an option to activate the Owl Care Kit. The GBA game will sync with the Cube game if both are on the connecting menu. The Cube version then confirms the connection to the GBA game. So what exactly is an Owl Care Kit? Well, now the GBA displays an Owl Virtual Pet Simulator. It's essentially a Tamagotchi but with more color and an owl format. The player first selects one of several preset names, and I naturally chose Poot because that's probably the best name of all time, owl or not. And if your human name is Poot, please leave a comment on this video so I can send my sympathies. And then you can choose the color of your owl. When the game first starts, the owl stats are pre-boosted a little bit, indicated by the meters on the left side of the screen. But by clicking the icons at the bottom of the screen, the owl gets happier, healthier, stronger, and smarter over time. From left to right, the symbols on the bottom are feed, indicated by a bread symbol so your owl can carb up. Next is clean, which sprinkles the orange poop pellets away after eating all that stale bread. Pet, which pets that good boy on the head with an armless hand that appears out of nowhere. The brush icon is the groom action, which makes the owl look pretty. Exercise forces the owl to work off some of those bread calories by flying around the cage for a few seconds. And teach teaches Poot basic algebra in case he needs to prep for that SAT. You're free to tap any icon at any time, but the owl will indicate what he wants with an emoji above his head. So after you click on those symbols for a good 5 to 10 minutes to make those meters grow high enough, you can choose to send the owl on a mail mission using the envelope icon. The owl will then fly away and eventually return with an item that you can now use in-game, which is kinda cool, especially if you have the patience to milk this icon clicking simulator. But each time Poot flies off to get mail, he returns totally drained, so you need to click the icons for another 10 minutes before you can send him out again. Okay, so check this out. After you beef up your stats and maybe mail call an item or two, choosing the upload option then sends the owl into the Gamecube game. Now back on the Cube game, you can play as the owl in the Owl Racing minigame. Similar to the Pegasus downloadable minigame, players essentially only control left and right movement as well as height. The game says you can press B at certain times to gain boosts of speed, but I didn't really notice any difference. But this is a long ring flying simulator where you need to fly through the rings in order, trying to be the first to finish. But without boosts or Mario Kart-like weapons, this is a boring but scenic trip through a castle. It's much better than Superman 64, but not as cool as Pilot Ring's Resort in comparison. You don't get anything for winning either, so the lack of incentive is disappointing. And if you miss a single ring, you might as well restart because that owl's turn radius is horrible and you have no chance to overcorrect yourself. This is a slow endurance race that takes way too long. And as you fly through the rings, the AI owls will never catch up, so you're essentially flying by yourself. Flying through this large castle area was probably pretty impressive back in the day, and it still holds up pretty well today. And since the Owl minigame is actually on the GBA cartridge and isn't a tiny downloadable program, it looks good, it has smooth animations, and the soundtrack with sound effects results in higher presentation values. While it would have been cool to have more interactivity with the Owl, leveling up and transferring the Owl between both versions is a creative and appreciated design choice. EA did the whole swapping of data from the handheld version to the Cube version in several other games like Lord of the Rings Return of the King, SSX3, and Tiger Woods Golf, but Prisoner of Azkaban is the most creative. Although the downloadable minigames aren't anything special, the Owl Virtual Pet is an exclusive piece of content that deserves recognition because there isn't anything else quite like it. The Prisoner of Azkaban is the final Harry Potter game released this generation. But EA also added an exclusive area in Chamber of Secrets when connecting the GBA game to the Cube game. And Quidditch World Cup also included a Pong-like minigame. I made videos on these other Cube-to-GBA linking features and will leave links to those in the description if you wanted to check them out too. But what do you think? Which Harry Potter game is your favorite? What stupid name would you give your mail-fetching owl that crafts perfectly round orange pellets? And what Cube-to-GBA linking game should I cover next? Let me know in the comments. And for tons more link cable nonsense, see the links to my dedicated playlist in the description. Until next time, thank you for watching and game on!